Hi everyone, welcome. We'll go ahead and get started in a couple minutes. Just gonna wait to see if we get a few more people and then we'll get started. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Crystal Martinez, and I'm a current dietetic intern here for the Fullerton School District with the Nutrition Services Department. And today I will be presenting on nutrition for the whole family. But keep in mind that this can be also for your partner, how to, meal prep, or if it's just you want to base it off yourself, like it's totally fine. So definitely individualize it to yourself if needed. It's just like some tips here and there for families. But we are going to go ahead and get started since it is 1 o'clock, and just some guidelines for today's presentation. I do have Q&As that I will be starting like around 1:45. So feel free to put any Q&As throughout the presentation, and then I'll answer those at the end of the content for today. And I will be asking you all questions just to make it engaging and to assess your understanding. So feel free to answer those in the chat. So for instance, right now, if you want to kind of do a test run of how the chat looks, feel free to add anything on the chat. And yeah, so then we'll do that. And then if you prefer to speak through audio, you can also raise your hand. There should be a function down below in I think it's the toolbar that allows you to raise your hand, and then I can allow you to speak. That way, if you want to communicate through audio, okay? All righty. So before we do get started, I do want to assess your understanding. So I will launch a poll on Zoom, and it will ask you a series of 4 questions. It should pop up for you. I'll give you 2 minutes to answer, and then we'll go ahead and discuss. So there's no judgment here. Feel free to answer to your honest, and it's anonymous. So I don't know who answered what, okay? So I'll give you 2 minutes. Hopefully you all can see the poll. So at 1:04, we will discuss. So thank you. I already have 1 person for 2, 3. Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, awesome. 100%. All right, let's end this poll and let's share the results. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you all can see the results. So let's see. 7 of you out of 11 answered, I don't have time to cook on most days of the week. Okay, and then some of you said you false, which is probably you do have more time. And then the majority of you mentioned that you do make an effort. Okay, that's great. So sometimes we don't have time, right? But we're making an effort, and that's what counts. Okay, and it's okay too. Maybe some days that's not a priority, right? And that's totally okay. Number 3, I eat. Okay, let's see your range. At least 1 vegetable a day. Okay, 2. Okay, 3, and then 3 or more. Oops, I misspelled more. But okay, so we have a little bit of variety. And then the last one, I try not to eat carbs every day because they are unhealthy. So 7 of you said false. Okay, so it's nice to see where everyone's at. If anyone feels comfortable sharing. For number 2, I'm curious. For those of you that said you do make an effort to eat healthy and balanced meals most of the days of the week, do you mind sharing what is it that you do? Like what is something that you do to try to eat healthy or balanced throughout the week? So feel free to use the chat feature, or if you want to raise your hand and use your mic. Or another question to you all. Oh, someone in the chat. Eat fruits as well. Okay. I try to follow the healthy plate model. Okay. Great. All right. Awesome. Yes, we'll definitely be talking about the healthy plate model soon. All right. And then my pre-make food on the weekend. Okay. Yeah. Some of us have more time on the weekend, right? So we can make that time to do that. That way in the week, it's a lot smoother. Okay. Awesome. And then for my fourth question here on the poll, I try not to eat carbs every day because they are unhealthy. So can anyone share why they selected false? So why do you eat carbs? Because you disagree that they're not unhealthy, right? So can anyone share? Anyone feels comfortable? Why do we incorporate carbs? Carbs are a source of energy. Yes. Thank you, Deborah. Exactly. And we'll learn more about it right now, right? And if you look at my plate, which I'll show you, grains are carbs. And I won't get too ahead of myself because I'm going to ask you, I want to assess where you're at. Okay, perfect. And then Carol mentioned try to include 5 food groups. Okay, great. All right, so let me stop sharing and they make you full. Yep, carbs are necessary, but not too much each day. Okay. All right. So, I thought you all could see the results. Now it says, yeah, so you could see the results there. Okay. And now I'll ask some more questions later from the poll. Okay, so now looking at this image here of this lunchbox, what stands out to you? Do you think it's balanced? Do you think it has variety, or why do you think I selected it? Or how long do you think it took to prepare? Since some of us are short on time, right? Even I'm short on time sometimes, no, most times. So what do you think, how many minutes do you think this took to assemble? Variety, but quick. Definitely. Okay. So if I were to prepare this, maybe like 15 to 20 minutes, 10 minutes, yeah, or 10 minutes. It could be faster, right? Yeah, less than 15. Yep, it looks like it just be thrown together. So yeah, one time too, I didn't have, that seems like a lot of food. Yeah, I think I would separate. Yeah, I think maybe they just put it like that, but maybe the apple and the granola would not even fit. I'm assuming, part just for the picture. But yeah, it does look like a lot more food. Maybe half of that could be like a snack, right? After before we go to work after lunch. But yeah, so this could be something quick. If you like to eat deli meats here and there, it doesn't have to be something you eat every day, but maybe, you really need the fuel. You don't want to buy a lunch at work. You just want to make yours. You could buy chicken breast. You can make your own, right? You can put a tuna sandwich together, hummus, right? That could be something really quick. You could buy some granola bars with less added sugar, whole fruit, right? Even the mandarin, I probably would not even peel it. I just tend to just put it in my lunchbox and I'll peel it when I get there, right? Or if you want to buy trail mix bags, or if you want to make your own, even cheese sticks, or even baby carrots, right? Those are already cut up, peeled, ready for you. So there's definitely ways to make this quicker. Or and the reason also why I like this picture, because there's variety. So we have some fruit, we have some nuts and seeds, we have some veggies, we have some protein coming from the cheese and maybe that's ham or turkey. Nuts and seeds also have protein and fiber, right? Fiber is also important. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So my question to you, what motivates you to eat healthier meals? Like, what is your why? Why do you take a couple more minutes to meal prep on the weekend or in the week? Or even when you go grocery shopping, what's like, I'm gonna buy this instead of this. So what's your why? To have energy, yep, definitely for your health. Hmm. Okay, yeah. Pre-diabetic, okay, yeah, to manage your blood sugars. For energy, okay, yep, those are some popular ones. Energy, your health, okay. Not to eat as much. Yeah, that gives you the how do you say it? Yeah, the opportunity to plan how much you want to eat, right? You're in control with the portions. Okay. So thank you all for sharing. Just have some images here, but yeah, to have energy, to play with your family members, to run, maybe with your immune system. You want to make sure you eat the right nutrients. That way you can lower your risk of getting sick. To have energy to work out, right? To live longer, to see your children grow old, to be a role model, prevent disease or manage disease. Um, yeah, manage your blood sugars or reduce weight. So definitely a lot of motivations, right? To want to eat healthier. And also something that I want to share is nutrition is super important, right? But also other parts that contribute to our health, like our sleep hygiene, managing our stress, making sure we move to some extent, right? Maybe you want to take a 20-minute walk. It doesn't have to be something like CrossFit. I mean, if you do want to do CrossFit, that's cool, but I'm just here to share that there's definitely many ways to move, right? That are also influential to our health. Okay. So some learning objectives for today's presentation. Um, let's see how far we get, but the main things that I want to be the takeaways is list important nutrients that make a balanced meal. So you'll walk away with knowing which nutrients, or maybe you already know, this will be maybe some review. We'll describe different ways to make our meals healthier, and we will compare a low sodium versus a high sodium on a nutrition facts label. Okay. All right. So now another question to you all. What do you think helps create healthy habits? Or in this case, like what helps create healthy meal patterns? What helps you eat more healthy over time? I see some Q&As. I love it. So definitely going to answer that later. But yes, thank you so much for that question. Great question, by the way. Okay, so what helps create healthy habits? See, good support from all in the household, definitely. Yeah, it's good to have a supportive environment, right? Leading by example, yes. Being organized, connecting things together, grouping, being consistent, yes. It's like you all know what's on the slides. Okay, great. Yes, so intention plus effort. So planning and preparing, right? Also, um, and then healthy behaviors which lead to healthy habits over time. So in order for a habit to happen, I have to plan and prepare. So it's a process, right? It's not as easy as it looks. But what are some examples of planning and preparing when you're trying to eat healthier? Like what's in the planning phase or the preparation phase? Meal prepping. Yep. Menu. Yep. Portion control. Okay. Yeah, so meal planning, right? So you may come up with a plan like, okay, this week I want to eat this. I want to eat some stir fry. I want to eat some noodles or some salads, right? Yeah, the food groups exactly. Like, okay, I want to make sure I have my protein in my meal, my veggie, my fruit, my snacks, with my carbs. Yep. And yeah, so then this is the health behavior, the actual act of doing it. And then over time, whoops, what happened? Okay, that's just linking to a resource. No, let me one moment. I think it took me to okay, I'm back. It's because it was connected to a source, so just bear with me. But it was gonna link it to an article, which I wanted to show you about healthy creating habits, but I'll show you shortly. But yes, so the consistency, right? So the more we do it, the more our brain is gonna get used to it. So let's just wait for this to load a little bit. But the key is consistency, as someone mentioned in the chat, right? So the more we do it, the more our brain adapts to it. So let me just go back. Okay. So some examples of planning and preparing, right, is having a grocery list, as someone mentioned in the chat, having that ready, the food groups. So that's exactly what I do. I'm like, okay, what's my protein for this week? Maybe I want to do some animal-based, maybe I want to do plant-based, make sure I have some beans ready. What are my veggies that I want to eat this week, right? And it's also important to cater it to your liking. So just because someone on social media is eating like chicken and broccoli, doesn't mean you have to do that. Maybe your meal pattern looks different, or maybe it's your culture, or maybe your budget, right? There's a lot of factors that contribute into what we eat, and that's totally okay. And then looking up recipes are also part of the planning and the preparation, right? We can get creative on our own, but if we want to look up recipes, that's totally fine too. Okay. So some of you already mentioned this earlier, how to eat healthier as a family. So let me put, yeah, not shopping on an empty stomach. Yep, exactly. Yeah, because we want to buy, yeah, other things, right? Okay, so as some of you mentioned, parents are the role models, so definitely. And even if it's not parents, maybe it's just like, I don't know, who you're surrounding yourself with, right? That environment does make an influence. Also helping us eat healthier, grocery shopping together. So if you want to take your children with you, like maybe the act of them having that opportunity to choose something may get them excited and then more likely to eat that at home. Also cooking together. So the act of them like, oh, I contributed to this meal, right? Like this was a team effort. They may be more likely to eat that meal since they feel like they contributed. And then I know someone mentioned in the Q&A, yeah, and just having that supportive environment, I think will really help. And then just being patient with the process. Maybe the first time they didn't like it, or the second time, like I mentioned here, it does take children several tries to try new foods. It can take 10 to 15 exposures. So for example, with carrots, like let's say our child doesn't really like carrots or whatever veggie it may be, or some other food, they can try it first raw, right? Maybe next time like a baby carrot. Maybe next time throw it in a juice, or have it cooked in a soup, or maybe the mini sizes with carrots, or maybe next time carrots with ranch, right? Carrots with a little bit of lime. So having different opportunities for them to try it could be something that could work. Or maybe sometimes we're like, you know what, they really don't like this food. Let's just go with what they like, or explore other foods that they may be more likely to eat, right? So that's also something, right? Maybe everyone has different taste buds, because the number one influential factor that contributes to what we eat is taste. So that's why it's also important, if we want to maintain these healthy eating patterns, eating what you enjoy is going to be more sustainable versus forcing ourselves to eat something that we don't like, but we're just eating it because, I don't know, we think everyone else eats it, right? So yeah, we want to make sure it's sustainable and long term. And yeah, just, even if it applies to ourselves, just being patient with this process, right? Because habits could be hard, especially when we're limited on time or other factors. But yeah. Okay, so why do you all think it's important to eat balanced meals? Like, why do we want to follow that method of the healthy eating plate? So here are some strategies or some reasons why. Let me see the chat. Too much of one thing cannot be good. Yes, yes. Thank you, Catherine and Brenda. To get all the needed nutrients like vitamins and minerals. Yes. To give our bodies a balanced nutrition. Exactly. Yeah. So for example, if I just eat carrots as my main veggie, that has a lot of vitamin A, but what if I'm not eating oranges or strawberries, right? Those things have vitamin C. So, right, you see how, yeah, everything, variety is so good because one thing cannot provide everything. Or even carrots. One of my professors from nutrition, she always had a story of of one of her students that was drinking a lot of carrot juice, like a lot. So at the end, I think her hands were turning orange because it has like something called beta carotene, which contributes to it being orange. So, not even, yeah, not everything is good in excess, even carrots. Okay, so yes, as some of us mentioned, one food group can't provide all the nutrients, and each food group serves a different function. They work like a team, right? They all, yeah, literally are working as a team to help you. And then it helps to manage our blood sugars. So even if we're eating too many carbs, and we don't eat enough protein, even that can cause our blood sugar to spike, right? But if we eat proteins and fats and fiber, it'll cause our sugars to just be more steady, right? Versus just rising. That's why when you have your plate and you combine different things, it will help that process. And as some of you mentioned, the healthy eating plate. So here's an example. We have our vegetables, our whole grains, and we'll talk about what examples of those are. Our proteins, our fruits, and our healthy oils. But I also understand different families may eat maybe their bowl of soup with their grains and their protein, and then on the side some veggies, or maybe, maybe they don't want to eat the veggie as their main course, and maybe later they'll have like their veggies as a snack with ranch, right? So it could look different for everyone. Okay, so I know we mentioned earlier carbs that we do need it as energy, so that's definitely correct. What about proteins and fats? Like, what's their purpose? Why do we want it in our meals? Energy, yep. Protein for muscle building, exactly. Help support our muscles, yep. Protein, yep. Okay. So just to reiterate with carbohydrates, it's like a more fancy term, the scientific term for carbs. It's our primary source of energy. So our body prefers that. That's our preferred energy source, right? So that's when it breaks it down, it turns into energy. So your muscles and brain, your muscles too need it to work well. And so our muscles also, sometimes we just think about the muscles in our arms and our legs, but even for our heart, right? Our heart also contracts, and like our muscles, our stomach, right? As it breaks down our food, it's contracting. So carbs are pretty important. It's just knowing the type that we're consuming that makes a difference, and the amount, right? And I like also how someone mentioned, Deborah, fats do help with vitamins when it comes to absorption. So we'll talk about that shortly. So yeah, great fun fact. So some examples of carbohydrates are your fruits, your vegetables, your grains, beans, nuts, dairy, syrups, and candies. But notice that it's again, the type that you eat. Okay, so if you want to enjoy, I don't know, like a candy here and there, it's Halloween or birthday celebration, like it's okay, right? It's what we do frequently and consistently that makes a difference. But if you're eating the majority of the healthier carbs, that's definitely gonna help your health, okay, or support your goals. So here are some pictures. I'm a visual person, so I love pictures. So yeah, here's an example of carbohydrates. And most plant-based foods, so non-animal based foods, will have some level of carbs, okay? Because fiber is found in carbs. Does anyone know what fiber is or what it's good for? I think I mentioned it, but I'm not sure. So the gut, it's great for digestion. Yep. So our stomach loves fiber. It helps break it down, and the bacteria like it. So we have good bacteria in our stomach, which helps keep our gut healthy. And also for bowel movements, right? So the fiber, you can find it in your fruits, your veggies, anything plant-based. There's no fiber in meat though, or chicken or animals. So that's why also carbs. Imagine if we're missing out on carbs, like our grains or veggies, we're gonna miss out on all that fiber. There's no fiber in dairy, so that's one of, because there's no, it's animal based. Okay. Proteins. So some of us mentioned builds tissue such as muscle. Yes. So whenever you're working out, right? That's why it's so important to eat protein after you work out as a post-workout snack, or even throughout the day, because that helps build muscle. So whenever we exercise, you do notice you get sore usually the next day. So that's because our muscle fibers, so think about it like a string, the strings of muscle, they tear a bit. So as they tear, it's because you're working them out. They're undergoing healthy stress. So it's not bad because you're working out. And then as you eat protein, it's going to replenish it, and then it's going to grow stronger and maybe bigger. It also helps repair injuries. So like, let's say we got a really bad burn and we had to go to the hospital or the doctor. They're most likely going to recommend a diet high in protein because we want to repair that tissue, the skin. That's why, fun fact, there's protein in your hair, in your muscles, in your skin, and in other areas of your body. So for example, collagen, right? Collagen, it's always gets promoted for your hair and skin, but that's a protein. That's a protein as well. So if you're eating a diet good in protein, it's also going to do great things for your hair and your muscles. Does anyone know some examples of protein besides animal-based foods? So yeah, let's say someone's like, okay, I want to eat other proteins. Let's use chat. Lentils, quinoa, yep, legumes, exactly. Nuts, peanut butter, yep. Your nut butters, your seed butters have protein. Yeah, so all that variety is good. Dairy, yep, dairy has protein as well. Okay, awesome. Tofu, right? Soy milk. So if someone wants to drink non-dairy milk, the milk that has the most protein will be soy milk. Okay, so you can buy soy milk if you don't want to, since almond milk doesn't really have any. But yeah. Okay. See, so here are some examples that I've listed in case I missed any, but it looks like everything is there. All right, fats. So some of you did mention, I'll talk about it right now, but fats provide energy as well. It keeps our body warm, right? Helps regulate our temperature, and it keeps our organs in place. So it provides like that padding in between our organs. Of course, again, everything in excess isn't good. So even if we ate a diet high in fat, that wouldn't be necessarily super good. Not that it's like, oh, more padding, the better, right? Maybe not. That's not what I'm trying to get at, but it serves a purpose, right? Let me see in the chat. Okay, yeah, that's a good point, Deborah. Thank you. Yeah, flaxseed. Yeah, so they probably added, 10 grams per cup. That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, so fats help the body absorb vitamin A, D, E, and K. So what that means is, like, let's say something has vitamin A, like carrots, for example, and I pair it up with fat, whether it's like olive oil, maybe some salmon or avocado, right? That pairing, that combination is going to help my body absorb these vitamins a lot better. The absorption is going to be like increased. Okay. So yeah, fat's great. It's just knowing which type of sources, right? So does anyone know what are some, I guess I just mentioned them, but anything that I haven't mentioned that's a fat source? Let me show you. So some examples: avocados, nuts, seeds, poultry, meat, seafood. If you want to do healthier fats, like more lean cuts, some seafood. You can also get fat from dairy, butter, oil, and shortening. But of course, we can do butter and the other types of fats that are not as healthy more in moderation. Okay. So yeah, so olive oil and avocado, like those are great cooking and marinating as well for your fats. Okay. And something that I did want to point out, protein can provide energy for your body, but notice how I highlighted carbs as providing energy as your primary source, and fat, because protein has so many other functions, like antibodies for your immune system, for your muscles, repairing, and you know, being part of your hair and your skin, that it rather not become energy. It's like, okay, I will if you need me, right? But that's why carbs and fat are there. But like, let's say for some reason you're not eating a lot of carbs and fat, then protein will become energy. But it's probably, you might lose some muscle mass. But notice, right? Because it all has different functions, right? Just like everyone in our departments, they all have different functions, right? So yeah. Okay, let me see how we're doing on time. Okay, so we're halfway. Okay. Yeah, and just another picture of fats. Okay, test question. So how are these two carbs different? So both of them are carbs, right? But how are they different? What can one provide that the other doesn't? Natural sugars, yes. So the orange will have natural sugars, exactly. Versus the Coca-Cola, right? They purposely added sugar. The orange has fiber, yes, and vitamins. One helps the body and the other one doesn't. Exactly. Maybe the Coke is like joy, right? Like, oh, this is so good. But for some people, right? But yeah, but nutritionally speaking, it probably won't. Let me see. Something else, better source of sugar. Okay. Yeah. So added sugar, the sodas have no fiber versus the orange has natural sugar, fiber, and vitamins. Yep, y'all hit the nail on the head with everything. So yeah, so imagine that's why if you can, we can try to reducing our intake of sugar sweetened beverages, because when you drink something that is pretty much sugar or juices even, what happens to our sugar is it rises quicker, because that you don't even need to chew that, right? Everything's already in a liquid form. So what's going to happen, it's just going to spike, right? Versus an orange or another carb that has fiber, it's going to take longer. You're going to chew it, you're going to break it down, and the sugar is going to going to increase, because I mean you just ate carbs, right? So it's normal for it to break down and eventually go up, but it's going to do it at a more slower pace, right? So that was something. And then if you incorporate proteins and fats with your meals, since your body's also trying to break down protein and also trying to break down fat, it's going to like be more steady versus like spiking up, right? And shooting. But yeah. So just a reminder that the type of carb, protein, and fat you consume, along with the amount you eat, makes a difference. So that's what you kind of got to think about, right? So there's no food group that's bad. You need each food group. It's just the type, right, that you consume. Like even for fat, I can choose to eat healthier fats versus adding butter to everything, right? Or eating, I don't know, cookies all the time, because those tend to have yeah, like if people add butter or things like that. It's just knowing the amounts, because you can still enjoy your chocolate chip cookie. It's just the amount you consume. Like if you're consuming a lot every day, then that's probably not going to be the best option. Okay, so nutrition doesn't have to be restrictive. You could be flexible, but just, yeah, knowing the amounts and the types, right? Because food is also a big part of our culture, whether it's celebrations. Yeah, so we also want to enjoy it, our food. Okay, so this is another graphic, more specific, but I believe Jeremy will be emailing the slides. I know some of you in the past class or other people in the past class were interested, so I'll just leave this for review for later. But I do want to take this opportunity to create a healthy meal together. So if anyone would like to participate, like how this could be like your favorite meal, or what would you put together if you were trying to create a healthy meal? So let me take a pen, virtual pen. And then if anyone wants to just share, like feel free to share. This may not be super, let me use a different color. Let's use black. So we want to do black. Let's see the chat. Salmon and asparagus. Yes, I love that. Okay, let's see. Sorry, I just have to Well, it doesn't let me remove. I don't know if you could see the chat because it's in my way, but it's probably not in your way. But yeah, if I put salmon, or maybe I can type that out. Instead, that would look better. So if I want to do salmon, if I want to do for my veggies, add some asparagus, right? Someone mentioned, yeah, potatoes. You can add that for your veggies, broiled chicken, broccoli, brown rice. Yep, that all sounds really good. I'm getting hungry. Yeah, apple. And then we have oil and vinegar. Yep, oil, healthy oils. Yeah, and then I could just put, and remember, everyone's dish is gonna look different, right? And that's totally okay. Make it for your taste buds. Yeah, so either or works. Let me see. We could add some brown rice, as someone mentioned. Okay, so thank you all. I would add potatoes too here for the asparagus, for the veggie. But something I did want to note is brown rice definitely is a great option for your grain. So for your whole grains, the reason why we recommend them is because they do have this layer on them that makes it brown, and which makes it brown, and then that has the fiber. So whether it's pasta or wheat bread, it's that layer. But like, let's say we want to, for what do we prefer, white rice? It's like, you know what, I really want white rice right now. I don't want brown rice, which is totally okay. You can get that fiber elsewhere. So maybe you're like, you know what, I'm gonna eat my beans and my veggies later, so that's gonna be my fiber. Or maybe, you know, so if you really don't want white rice, brown rice, and you want to enjoy white rice, that's okay too, right? And you also gotta, everyone's different. So maybe some people are like, you know, I really want to manage my blood sugars, and brown rice is a better option for me right now. You know, so yeah, it really depends. You can always speak to your providers to see what works for you. But let me see the chat. I'm gonna clear this drawing. My family is a bread people, so maybe a wheat roll. Yeah, so you can do some wheat rolls. Yep. Or if you want to buy whole wheat bread. Or maybe, yeah, some of people, because I know sometimes I have family members too that they're like, no, I'm not gonna eat wheat, right? And it's hard to convince sometimes people if they're already like, you know, some people just have really their preferences. So maybe they choose to eat that fiber or get that nutrition in other places. But yeah, wheat rolls work too. Okay, so let me see the next slide. Whoops. So I was going to ask you all, but I guess I jumped ahead. How can we make our meals healthier? So, what do you think we could add chickpeas to, and lentils and beans? Like, give me some ideas. How can we add those to our meals? Or veggies, if you want to talk about veggies. Right? Like, if you were a nutritionist and someone had a sandwich or a pasta, like, how can you make it healthier? Okay, yeah, you could add a side green salad. Yep. Yeah, so sometimes people want it as a side. Yeah, pre-cut veggies for the side. Yeah, maybe they don't want to include it in their actual meal, but like let's say that sandwich, maybe they just want turkey and cheese, or maybe they just want marinara sauce on their pasta and meatballs, right? And a salad on the side. Yep. Stir fry veggies, use less salt, try seasonings. Exactly. Seasonings could really, yeah, make change a plate. Hummus with vegetables. Yep, exactly. So we can definitely include it as a side, but we can also add these things if we want to incorporate it within a soup, right? Maybe you could do a chicken noodle soup with celery and potatoes and carrots. We can throw veggies and pastas, and egg scrambles, burritos. I love adding guacamole to burritos, right? In your tacos, salads. So notice how eating healthy doesn't just have to be salads. You can do it. I do enjoy eating salads here like a few times a week, but not every day. And then you could also salsas, right? Even pico de gallos can be healthy, or as a side, as we mentioned. Let me see the chat. yeah, puree veggies into soups. Exactly. If you don't want to chew all the veggies, yeah, you can blend them up and add them to soups. And I also wanted to highlight that low sodium canned beans can also be a convenient way. Yeah, and a healthy choice. And I know in the past they might have gotten a bad rep, but you can choose to buy low sodium beans. And we have a nutrition facts label later on the presentation to kind of help you see at the grocery store what you can look out for. And you can also rinse the brine or what it comes in, the beans. Or in that case, you can add other seasonings, right? And you don't have to add as much salt. Okay, so notice you could also buy pre-cut veggies, or maybe as a family, you could be like, all right, you're gonna cut the broccoli and I'm gonna do this, right? So you can separate things. Or roast veggies, especially right now with colder weather, like roasted veggies may be, I don't know, something that you prefer. And again, you could get creative with the seasonings and yeah. Okay. And just a few more things. Choosing half of your grains as brown rice, nuts and seeds can be added to oatmeals because they also have a lot of healthy fats that are also great for your health, for your heart, for your brain, a lot of great things. And then you can also freeze fruit and veggies to make smoothies, or you can buy frozen fruit. Does anyone buy frozen fruit or vegetables at the grocery store? Sometimes even frozen foods, some people may not think they're healthy, but they actually are. So if you buy frozen fruits or veggies, right when they were ripened, they get them, they pack them up and they freeze them. So the flavor is going to be great. Like I know I just ate frozen strawberries from the store and they were so sweet, and I didn't even have to add sugar or dates or nothing to my oatmeal. So that's also like another great choice. And yes, some of you do buy frozen fruit and blueberries. Yeah, frozen blueberries. Because I noticed that blueberries tend to get moldy. So sometimes like I just buy them frozen. So I love that. And yeah, kids can eat them right away. Exactly. Oops, let's go back to that other one. Okay, so just some other examples. Does anyone ever do batch cooking at home or use any sauces to like help their dishes taste, like have another taste profile? Yep. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes I'd say you don't want to spend too much time in the kitchen. You don't want to marinate things. Maybe you can have some low sodium ranch or olive oil, lemon, salt, and pepper also makes a great dressing. So you can kind of do half and half of your olive oil and lemon. Maybe if you're into less acidic things, you could put less lemon ratio, then add salt and pepper, and that could help the flavors like come to life. If you like peanut sauce, I love peanut sauce, so I always try to make one. I have a recipe if anyone wants it. But barbecue sauce, guacamole, hummus, right? You can add pesto sauce to sandwiches, to your pastas, yeah, to your wraps. Yeah, you can, and then just throw in veggies, right? Or maybe boiled eggs you have handy, your protein, and a Caesar salad or an egg salad sandwich. So even this batch cooking can help you throughout the week. That way you could just mix things, leftovers. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So yeah, let's see the chat. What is a better, okay, I'll answer that question shortly, but great question. Yeah, I'll share a peanut sauce that I really like. It's from Minimalist Baker. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of that blogger, but yeah, I'll share it shortly. And yes, I'll answer your questions soon as well, because I'm almost going to answer the Q&As. Okay, and let me see. Okay, so these are some other quick healthy meal ideas. Has anyone ever tried overnight oats? And I have a recipe too, so you can take a picture of that. Yes, okay. Yeah, and then you can also do some sandwiches. So again, notice how these are balanced. We have the protein here. I think that's avocado, healthy fat. We have some veggies, some carbs, perfect. And then we have peanut butter, which is our protein and our fat. Whole grains do have protein as well, not a lot, but they have some. And then some stir fries, some fajita bowls, and I will send these, or Jeremy will probably send these slides. So I have a blogger here that's into budget-friendly recipes. I have some plant-based. I know someone mentioned about substitutes to dairy. She's a registered dietitian, nutritionist, so there's a lot of great recipes that I like. A link to the American Heart Association, which is more heart healthy, probably like healthy fats and low sodium recipes. If you're trying to manage your blood sugars, the American Diabetes Association also has great recipes. So everything's linked. I can also provide the links throughout the press, like when I end, in case, I don't know, sometimes I forget to look at slides. So if you forget later and you're like, Crystal, just copy the link and put it on the chat, I can do that too. Okay, so I'm gonna get to the Q&As right now. So let me just briefly show you a few more things. So here are some more healthy snack ideas. Notice how all of these have a protein or a fat. If your child doesn't like Greek yogurt, dairy, maybe there's cashew yogurt. I tend to see that more like in Trader Joe's or Sprouts. But yeah, so those are some other options. Or you can maybe add nuts. Maybe, you know, they don't want to eat dairy and you can get the protein from other sources. And yeah, so there's like non-dairy milks if you're trying to look for a better substitute. Because yeah, definitely a lot of people are lactose intolerant. So I'm so glad that now there's like non-dairy options for those of us that are. So yeah, there's also plant-based cheeses. But again, if you don't want to even do a substitute, maybe you can just look for what nutrients am I not getting from that dairy option. So for example, if something has calcium, okay, I can get calcium from maybe some greens. Beans have calcium, almonds have calcium, right? So you can get creative with different things. Okay, so let me just move on to the slides. That way I have time for Q&As. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get to the nutrition facts label, but these slides will be sent. And even in the Q&As, we can ask more. And then this is just an overview of a recipe. So feel free to take a picture of this. I did link the recipe here, but just to show you, right, if you ever want to make overnight oats, the old-fashioned kind, you can get a container. And for instance, this one's for 1 serving for 1 person. But if you want to double it or do like 5 servings, then just add like, I want to say, yeah, like do it times 5. So you can add your milk of choice and then soak it in there, add your sweetener of choice. I love adding dates but just take off the seed, or you can add raisins instead, or honey or maple syrup, and then just add like your fruits, your nuts if you'd like. And here I put some of my favorite combinations. So whether you want to do berries, dates, and coconut shreds and walnuts, but mango, apples, or coconut and cashew. So yeah, feel free to get creative. And then you can do it overnight, mix everything up, and then the next day it's like ready for you to eat. You could either eat it cold or put it in the microwave for like 1.5 minutes. Okay, so here are some just quick ideas, and then in the morning it's ready. Okay, so I would like to end with just reminding us that healthy food is not just salads. I do love salads, but you know, it's okay. Not everyone has to eat a salad, but eat what you enjoy, whether it's tacos and adding my wok and my cabbage there, or some chicken with some sweet potato mash and greens, or curries, ramen, right? So many options. But yeah, so thank you all for your time. I am going to stick around for the Q&A, but I would like to ask these questions. What is one thing that you found interesting from this presentation, or is there anything new that you would like to try? So feel free to, if you want to add it in the chat, or also you can also turn on your mic and ask if needed. Let me see. If not, I can get started on the Q&As. Okay, learning about proteins and carbs. Yeah, quick snack ideas. Yeah. Yep, fats are needed. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you all for your time. I know I couldn't get to every detail, but we're gonna send these slides and the resources. If it was in person, I'll give you handouts, right? But these links will hopefully be helpful. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and answer some of the Q&As. So
Okay, let's see. Hi, Crystal. We have 2 questions. The first question is, how do I get my child to get started without making her feel like we're picking on her? She does not enjoy healthy eating.
Okay, yes, great question. Um, I'm really curious. Does anyone, I will answer this question, but does anyone else in the chat feel comfortable? Like, have they ever encountered this? And if so, what has helped you? Okay. So yeah, feel free to answer that in the chat. But yeah, so like I was mentioning earlier, like yeah, sometimes kids, like I am in class, in my nutrition classes, I remember my professor would say too, like so for kids, like let's say there is a child that really struggles more to eat their veggies versus maybe the other one doesn't. We want to make sure we feed everyone the same meal, so we don't want to make them feel left out, like, oh, you have to eat veggies, right? So we want to model it and just feel like we're all doing it. That way they won't feel like they're being called on or picked on. So I think I really appreciate that you're making an effort. Thank you for asking this question. It looks like, you're trying to find ways to help your child eat healthier. So just knowing that it's a process. I don't know how old your child is, but little by little, maybe incorporating like veggies where they can't really know that they're there. So whether it comes to maybe making a smoothie, like for instance, I don't know if they like spinach, but I like to do like spinach, bananas, and strawberries on orange, and the sweetness from the other fruits kind of, I can't even taste the spinach, right? Or as someone mentioned earlier, they blended if you want to blend veggies into soup, so maybe you could blend a cauliflower and a potato, and that's kind of white, and they probably can't even tell that it's in a soup. Or so yeah, just like kind of taking it day by day and us modeling the behavior, and maybe over time they may be like more likely to eat it. And as a reminder, right, it takes 10 to 15 exposures. So yeah, just little by little, they can hopefully enjoy some of the foods. So hopefully that helps answer your question. If not, you can ask me a follow-up question.
Okay, next question. What about frozen microwave meals? Sometimes for work, that's all I have time for, and I don't always get around to bringing leftovers.
Okay, yeah, great question. So I would be mindful of the amount of sodium that it has. And let me show you let's talk about the nutrition fact label. If I could go back, yes. Okay, so oh, this is an example. So frozen lasagna. So I know at times, like I bought frozen pizza yesterday, but so I try to, because I was like, hey, this is quick. I know one day I really have a project, and sometimes that's my priority that day, the project, right? But if you do choose to get frozen food, I would try my best to look at the sodium, because a lot of these convenience foods, they add more salt, right? So for example, if we're trying to be mindful of our sodium intake, anything 5% or lower, but it's kind of hard to find frozen food like that, but 5% or lower indicates that it's low in sodium, but anything 20% or higher is going to be high in that product. So if you can look for products that are 5% or lower, or even if you want to do 10% or lower, and nothing beyond 20%, I think that would be something that you can do here and there, right? I think if we do it every day, that will be too high in sodium. So maybe here and there it's okay, but maybe if you do want to do like a, I don't know, frozen pizza or frozen lasagna, maybe you can pair it with veggies, right? Like you could buy like spring salad mix or other things that you like, and then combine it, right? That way the variety is still there of nutrition. But yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with eating frozen meals here and there, but it's just like, I guess the frequency is what I would look more into. Okay, I don't know if that helps answer your question. Let me look at the question again. Yeah, because that's the reality, right? Sometimes that's all we have time for. But maybe also on the weekends, maybe you can, I don't know, like the night before, that's what I also struggle with sometimes in the morning, making a sandwich a peanut butter banana or turkey. So you can also do that. So another thing that I do at Sprouts, sometimes like I look at their sandwiches and I'm like, okay, maybe this is quick for this day, or maybe I'll grab sushi today. So just looking at the nutrition facts label, I think will help a lot. That's a great question. Okay, and then the next
We have another
question.
one. Is it better not to eat bread with meat as in a sandwich? I understand it can cause sluggishness like after lunch. I have experienced this and wondered if this was because of this combination.
Yeah, great question. So I'm curious if you've tried experimenting with whole wheat bread, or maybe the type of meat as well that we eat with the sandwich. So I would experiment with maybe, let me see the next one. Yes. Okay, whole wheat. Okay. Yeah, so it really depends because everyone's body's different. So maybe what makes you feel sluggish can be the bread. So I would experiment with maybe not including bread if you want to add something else for your grain, whether it's rice, or maybe switching the bread. Maybe looking also in the back of the nutrition label and looking for these things, right? Does it have fiber? So when breads do have fiber, they tend to give us more energy instead of like causing a blood sugar spike and then it goes down, right? Kind of like caffeine. Like sometimes it gives us that spike of energy and then like we get the opposite, right? So I would experiment with maybe choosing a different bread, or maybe it could be the meat. Maybe the meat has yeah, maybe you can experiment with turkey or boiled eggs. So I would do that because I know for some people, maybe grains do make them feel sluggish. So I would experiment because it depends, I would say. Yeah, but great question. And yeah, all of this is like trial and error, right? Like, let me experiment with this. Okay. And then I see the next question. What is a good percentage of fiber in a bread? So yeah, great question. Does anyone know the answer to that by any chance? I'm curious to see your nutrition fact label knowledge. Let me see in the chat. 5 grams. Okay. Let me go to my next slide because I have that actually there. So anything, so for example, you mentioned for the bread, anything on your daily value that says 10% or more, but this is of nutrients that we do want. So for example, like fiber, minerals, which what is it, like iron, potassium, calcium, or our vitamins like vitamin C, K, E, if it's 10% or more, that means it's a good source. So for example, if I go back to my slide, for example, here, calcium. Do you think this is a high source or a good source of calcium? This would be a high source, right? Because it's above 20%. But it's still considered a good source because it's above 10%. Potassium here is 10%, so it's not a high source of potassium, but it's a good source. Okay, so I know this label doesn't have it here, but yes, to answer your question, anything on a label for bread or whatever other nutrient that we do want, a good source is above 10%. Okay, yeah, great questions. All right, so I know we have 2 minutes left, but let me look at the chat in case you all put questions there. But yeah, thank you all so much for your feedback. So someone mentioned my daughter was picky. She started eating better when she got older. Yep, because of my modeling of healthier eating. That's amazing. I have 3 grown boys who had no problem, but my girl who is 11 has never been into eating healthier. Okay. Yeah, sometimes every sibling or, child could be different. But hopefully, as they get older too. I have a cousin too that wouldn't eat as healthy, and then they went to college and they had to cook on their own and figure out what they needed to eat. So they went away to live there and they started eating lettuce and tomatoes now. So it's definitely, because then at the salad bars, and I guess the other kids would grab salad. So I think maybe you're like, well, I guess I'll do it too, So it definitely can take sometimes years or new experiences. But thank you all so much for your feedback. I'm glad, you all participated. I really appreciate it, but I'm happy to stick around for another 5 to 10 minutes in case you all have any questions, okay? But if you have to leave, again, thank you for your time, and we'll find a way to get these slides sent to you. And I know I couldn't share more, I would love, but it's, we can only do an hour, so yes. But yeah, thank you all. But yeah, I'm just gonna read the feedback in the meantime. But if you have any questions, yeah, feel free to ask. Yeah, of course. I'm glad, yeah, this information was helpful. I'm just reading the chat, but yeah, someone also mentioned colors. Yes, colors of the rainbow. Yeah, children may, yeah, some of us are visual, right? We want colors, or we want things into star shapes, or yeah, making things fun. Mhm. Especially with the holidays, yep. Mhm. Yeah, thank you. Have a great day as well. I'll stick around for another 5 minutes, okay? And if no one decides, then I will probably end it. In the meantime, I do see 9 of us here. And does anyone have any questions of the nutrition fact label, or now that we're on this slide? Okay. Alrighty. So I think we are gonna end now. Joshua, yeah, I guess I don't mind sticking around in case you want to chat about anything, but
Oh, looks good. Let me see. We have only 2 more.
okay.